Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Inspiring Generations. I'm Dr. Jennifer Colito, and we are joined today again by our awesome Josie McRoberts. Hello, Josie.
Hi.
We are so excited to be talking about another blog article that you wrote, traditional U.S. education models versus progressive education models. And we want to make sure that everyone quickly knows. I'm going to pop this up on the screen for those of you who are watching us on the video broadcast. But if you're listening to us, go to euc2experience.org/blog and check out this article again, traditional versus progressive education models. And this is something that is continuing to build traction. Like it's there, it's already there, it's been there for a while. But with everything that happened with COVID, parents and even educators who are wanting to leave the public sector are looking for alternative models to either have their students have instruction or teachers finding different ways to continue to pursue their passion of teaching. So super excited to be talking about this and just to kind of define what it is, right? So why don't we go ahead and start with traditional. Tell us a little bit about what you've learned about traditional education models and really kind of defining what it is.
Yeah, so the traditional educational model primarily focuses on presenting direct information and facts to students. And so within this model, the teacher is seen as the enforcer of rules and knowledge. And basically, this model prepares students for the real world and is responsible for teaching students to see things within a certain point of view. And this model kind of uses techniques such as memorization, testing, and continual practice. And it's probably the most model that emphasizes the importance of traditional ideals and values.
Yeah, so it's definitely, we almost say old school, right? It's just kind of like that rote memorization. But at the same time, components of the traditional model, like there's things that just worked, right? There's things that have just worked. And we've, I know it frustrates me when I think about the education system, the things that we've abandoned. And for the sake of saying, oh, well, we taught it, we don't have to do it anymore. It's just like, okay, that's great. But you have another generation of people, students coming up and children coming up through the system who don't have the benefit of learning certain things. Like I was on a Clubhouse conversation just the other day, and we were talking about cursive, right? We've abandoned cursive, and they're just like, oh, well, we've taught it for so many years. Kids don't need to know how to write in cursive. It's like, well, how do you sign your name on a credit card slip, right? You're not going to print your name. You need to be able to do those things. So when we think about traditional models, not only is it the way of teaching, but some of it's what we teach. And I think we know with a lot of things going on in society, there are definitely things that have to change, like with our history courses and stuff. Like that's not arguing that at all. But there is a place for some components of traditional model teaching. But as we see more and more in our education system, and really what's shaping kind of how we instruct students and we implement lessons is more of a progressive model. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, so a progressive education model kind of moves away from the rigid subject-centered structure that traditional models have, and it more or focuses more on hands-on and experimental learning. And it basically places students in the center of the educational model and kind of removes the, I would say I might need a second. Wait, sorry.
It kind of removes the teacher as the center, right?
Yes, it removes the teacher as the center, and instead the teacher is seen as a facilitator of knowledge rather than a dictator of learning. And it really focuses on critical thinking and problem solving, and really just hopes to inspire students to fall in love with education and fall in love with learning and use that within their futures.
Yeah, so literally just this morning, we're in the part 4 of a 5-part series on the Clubhouse on teaching styles. And what we are talking about today was the delegator and facilitator roles of a teacher. And does it have a place in education, and how does it work? What are the benefits? How are people implementing it? Is that someone's personal teaching style? So that especially that facilitator role really goes hand in hand, as you mentioned, with progressive education models, and teachers not necessarily just being there wanting to do rote memorization and just lecturing. It is more, like you said, that hands-on experiential learning, which is so important. And with that, though, we at EUC2, we really focus on customized curriculum, right? And not just content curriculum is something that I like to clearly define, which is the textbooks, right? What you're teaching. But there's teachers as curriculum as well, because what you are implementing is one thing, but how you are implementing it is also part of curriculum, and that falls under the realm of a teacher, right? So we recognize that here at our company, and want to be able to offer to schools developing curriculum that meets the specific needs of your organization, as well as taking into account your student population, the community that you live in, as well as your teacher population and what they bring to the table, both their strengths and their shortcomings, to make sure that you are implementing things for your students to maximize student achievement. So with that, Josie, have you had exposure to both of these different types of education models?
I have. I have within like various classes, within various schools that I've attended. And I think that it kind of depends on the subject. I think it depends on the teacher. But I think that there are benefits to both of these educational styles for sure.
As a student and as a learner, is there one model that you've gravitated to more than the other?
I would say the progressive education model. I like doing things hands-on. I like to have an experience rather than just a lecture. I really like to use problem-solving skills as opposed to just memorization, pretty much.
Having that information regurgitated out at you, right?
Yes.
It's interesting. Depending on the subject and what I'm learning, I may gravitate more towards that traditional model versus the progressive model. And I think about, obviously, in our public educations, progressive education is where we want to be at for students to have those hands-on experiences. And we recognize the importance and the benefits of that. But it's interesting then when you turn around and teachers have to go through professional development, it's all traditional model. They don't okay, well, students get to have these hands-on experiences, but it's okay that teachers don't, and their learning and their continued learning. It's interesting the conflict that comes with that. But I don't want to take up all your time today on this specific one or give out all of the goodness that's in this article. So I encourage everyone to go out, check out our blog. Again, it's euc2experience.org/blog. This is on traditional U.S. education models versus progressive education models. Read it, comment it, and we're so excited. Josie, thank you so much for contributing to this article. We look forward to the next article that we will be discussing soon. So for now, we are just going to say goodbye to all our listeners. Thank you again for tuning in to the EUC2 Experience. Have a fantastic day.